So if you ask me, I really feel like the light is the negative. And the darkness is what people should surrender to. Hello. Hey. It's me. You remember my name? If not, my name is Flo. And welcome back to another episode of Crown Talk TV. Where I just be talking because I'm always having something to say. Anyways, look at the hair, guys. Look at the hair. Done by me. Nails by me. Lashes. Can you see them? By me. Everything by me, for me, on me. And anyways, let's get back to the video. Today, I want to talk about the dark. The side that most people try to run from. They don't want to go into the dark side because, I'm scared. And their mind has been programmed with a whole bunch of random as perceptions of what the dark is. That's why they shape your imagination so that you can be afraid. They want you afraid of the dark. Okay? First of all, the first question is, what is the dark? Or what is dark? What is dark? Because it could be a color, like my shirt, like my wall is dark, black, you know. It can be a color. A person can be dark-skinned and dark. It's always associated to black for whatever reason, because it's essentially the nothingness or the void of the unknown that most people tend to be afraid of. But why? I mean, I can get why, you know, because it's the unknown. Don't nobody fucking know what's gonna happen in the dark. It's the dark. But why get afraid? Why are you afraid of the dark? Is it maybe because certain experiences that you've went through, so now your imagination is shaped a certain way to believe that when certain things happen or when you get exposed to certain situations, you're not naturally, and I'm not going to say naturally, but or make up my own word, who cares? You know what I'm trying to say. By program, you've allowed yourself to be conditioned to a certain idea. So now your imagination is repeating certain things that you keep suppressed and repressed in the dark. Is it that? Or, you know, could it be the fact that on TV, they create certain perceptions and narratives and ideas and aka movies. And they dramatize a lot of things to make you afraid of self. They show you things that make it look scary so that you never figure out who you are and where you come from. You know? What is dark? Again, it can be a lot of different ways because essentially it's the void, the unknown, but all knowing is there. You know, there's so many infinite possibilities that's in the void. But if you're too afraid to fall into the void, or not even just fall, but surrender to it, essentially you're running from darkness. So let's get into the point, you know? Let's get into the points. Okay? When we are in the womb, essentially we are where? Doesn't this look like a big ass womb? It's a big ass circle of nothingness, the void. So when we're in the womb, we're surrounded by darkness. Then we come into this quote unquote light. And everything that they want you to be afraid of, I don't understand. I be completely confused on how people are afraid of the dark, when everything that's happening in the dark is literally happening in the light. Nothing is being hidden anymore. Just look around and you can see the different things and hear the different things that they show in the news and different experiences people go through. Bitch, I'm sorry. Not the B word, but mother effers, mofo. We are existing in a place where they're killing babies. They're fucking, bro. I don't even want to get into the amount of quote unquote darkness that most people are afraid of when it's literally happening so boldly and obliviously. It's right in front of your eyes. So again, how can people be afraid of the dark when we see that whatever people allow themselves to be afraid of or deem as really darkness, which is, it's just shit that's happening under the sun that ain't new. That's what they say. There's nothing new under the sun. That's why so many different things that are, that's, I'm getting so tongue-tied talking about this shit because it's literally so many different avenues you can go to talk about the dark. So if you ask me, I really feel like the light is the negative. And the darkness is what people should surrender to. And I know that sounds crazy as fuck out loud. I know it sounds crazy out loud because, again, the way that mind has been programmed and altered and shaped to think and perceive the light and the dark. They don't want you to be not afraid of the dark, because in the darkness, essentially the void, again, that's the possibility of everything and nothing at the same time. Everything is blended, but there's also nothing because it's everything and nothing. Because I don't know how to explain it. You either get it or you got it. I don't get how people are afraid of the dark, again, when the light is showing a lot more than what people are afraid of in their own darkness. Everybody has their own void, right? And again, like I was saying in the beginning, everybody has their own experiences that shape their imagination and or their internal world. When you close your eyes, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? You know, when you're closing your eyes, what is in your darkness? And why are you allowing yourself to run from it? What are you not wanting to refill? Essentially, the repression and the suppression of the emotions. The darkness is not necessarily a bad place, but because there's so much chaos happening in the outer realm or the physical realm, it's hard for people to really learn from the darkness because the darkness has been tainted. It has been altered and manipulated for people to be confused and operating in dysfunctional chaos instead of organized chaos, because chaos is still creation regardless. But the darkness is the nothingness with the everything. Because when you realize that nothing is nothing, you find out everything. Does that make sense? Because I feel like I kind of contradicted myself loud that I'm listening, because I'm really just channeling. Who gives a fuck? Back to the point. Anyways, like she was saying, I was saying, both, regardless. Only I know what that means. If you know, you know. Because, again, we have both light and dark. You have to know how to find the balance between the two. We were all born with a certain level of shadow or dark traits that was inherited from both mom and dad. You know, and everybody's shadow is different. Again, when I say shadow, most people gonna naturally think of demons that they show on fucking TV and whatever else, instead of realizing, first of all, the 7 deadly sins are the basic levels of low vibrational energy or demons to be operating in. Because you're working against yourself and allowing yourself to be those things. When I say this stuff be getting deep, it be getting deep. It really be getting deep, and people don't be wanting to have that depth or go into the void to understand, overstand all the stands, so that you're able to see different standpoints or viewpoints. You get it? But like I was saying before, we are all born with some level of, you know, darkness that we have to, you know, learn through as we get older, because again, we live in a realm where disorganized chaos, you know, is being manipulated to circulate a certain way. Because I'm not going to say it's made this way, because it hasn't. It's been stolen, and magic and manipulation, reverse psychology, all that crazy stuff been happening in the wrong way, so that we're not able to really see, one, what's going on, two, how to properly use our energy and our power the correct way. But instead they want us to use it in a way where it's being reversed, or we're not using it in a way to have an advantage, but it's a disadvantage. So this is why they take you away from the darkness, because the darkness is the feminine. It's the emotional body. I talk a lot about emotions on here. Are you catching my drift? Have you figured it out? We're talking a lot about emotional health, because in order for you to have good mental health, you have to know how to operate the darkness. Your emotions, the things that only you are feeling and thinking, how you're thinking and feeling how you're feeling. Only you are feeling those things and thinking those things the way that you are thinking those things. So everybody's darkness is, again, everything is shaped and molded and passed on. This stuff be getting deep. It's so many different things and many micro shits that's been broken up, and we've been just got put in a big ass bowl. Shake, 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 break, 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 cut, 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 throw. And now we're left to clean up the mess. But in order for us to do that, we have to relearn how to appreciate the darkness, the stillness, the emotions, the heart. Okay? Each family, each bloodline has certain behaviors, certain traits, certain disadvantages to each familiar or family. And you have to learn how to work through those shadows. Work through those quote-unquote demons. That's why everybody fighting fucking demons right now. Knuckling and buckling. You feel me? So, like, all of the things that they want you to be afraid of is so that you are never being able to find the true balance in self. So that you're able to ascend properly. So that you're able to use your energy to get yourself out of certain situations and predicaments. But again, in order for you to know how to properly do that, you have to be okay with your emotions, the darkness. How many times did I say it? Everybody has their own darkness. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always gonna be bad. What the fuck is good and bad anyways? You know, certain things obviously make sense, but it doesn't take rocket science to know when you're doing something right or wrong. Right? With that being said, that your shadow is just repressed and suppressed emotions, like I said previously. It's not necessarily something that's bad. It's not bad. We all have, you know, the angel and the demon. You know how they used to try to show that a lot back in the days on the older commercials and movies and stuff. It was always the angel and the demon, the conscious versus the unconscious, the light versus the dark, the up versus the down. You know, those dualities, they keep them separate instead of allowing them to, you know, it's a fusion between the two, making it and becoming one. Right? So it's like you have to know how to have that balance between both sides. You have them for a reason. But again, because we went through certain things and the world operates the way that the world operates now, the darkness has become something that's more toxic to every fucking body, because everybody's so fucking hurt and they say hurt people hurt people. The darkness has literally became exactly what the darkness is that they try to portray. They created the form for how we should use and see and perceive, you know, things with our imaginations based off of, again, the things they project into the TVs, music, the way that they teach us, the things that they teach us, all of these things that have been encrypted into the mind blinds you, because whatever you see on the outside is what you allow yourself to believe. And because your eyes are portals, you know, it allows you to see so that you're able to take in information, and your heart is the compass and your mind is the damn map. You're trying to figure out things the best you know how to navigate through certain situations and problems based off of how your imagination is shaped. if your imagination has been tainted, obviously you're going to perceive the world around you as a negative thing, or you're only going to see the bad side of things, or the quote unquote dark side of things of what they made you to believe what dark is to be. Did I say that right? I think I said that right. But yeah, whatever you or however you see darkness, essentially it's either one and one, or one, fuck. It's either one, you have been through certain experiences, so whatever your trauma is and yada yada yada, however that was shaped and whatever experiences you went through, and or two, and or 9 times out of 10 is both, your experiences and the programming, right? So however you see your experiences, how can I say it? So I'm trying to put it into words that make sense. Okay, example. We only think relationships and see relationships for what we've seen on TV, and or again what we've seen in our families or in our households and yada yada yada, in our surroundings, right? So if you are going through certain things that they showed you in the damn TV or the movie or whatever to be a certain way, they tell you that you're supposed to have a husband, kids, a nice house, money, yada, 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 the fucking American dream, right? They tell you that program, that imagination, that image that is getting, programmed into your imagination. They show you these different movies that make sense to how relationships are supposed to be viewed. Then, in real life, you go through certain experiences. That are not making sense to what you see in fucking TV, right? So now your mind is naturally gonna not only process it or know, because the way the heart is being triggered, and because the way your heart is being triggered 9 times out of 10 is because the way that your mind has been programmed to perceive what it is that you've seen on the outside. So now you're confusing yourself, and the emotions that you think are bad or whatever are really just I'm doing this with my hands because how I'm seeing it in my mind is like a spark, like when you're being triggered emotionally, it's like you're sending codes to your mind to think a certain way, and you're creating more of whatever it is that your imagination is, and yada yada. I really hope I'm making sense in this video. I know I am, but when I go back and listen, I know I'm gonna be making sense. But right now, as I'm talking, it really just I'm trying to process the information that I'm getting, because the way that I'm saying it in my mind, I'm trying to figure out how to put it into effing words. Okay, so just follow along with me and be patient as I get this information out. Like I said, I just be talking because I have a lot to say, because the way my mind be seeing this shit and processing it don't be making sense the way they be trying to force it to make sense. Okay? Stay with me. Right? So you're getting like little boosts whenever your heart is being triggered, hurt. H-E-R-T-Z, not just H-U-R-T. Hurts are like frequencies. It's waves, right, being sent. So every time your heart is being stimulated, it's sending information, it's sending codes to your mind to think a certain way. And when your thoughts are not making sense to what it is that you have been shown to be some type of form of reality, it's going to cause you to put yourself in like a panic mode, because now it's not making sense to what it is that life is supposed to be. Right. So now this is how people are reversing the darkness, because their imagination, life is so fucking crazy. Okay? It's so freaking crazy. It's so crazy because ironically too, not only are the things that are triggering you supposed to, you know, show you the true forms of darkness, but instead, because most people are programmed a certain way, it's like reversed on them, because we are not allowing ourselves to see certain things properly with the energy. The light is literally going to show you certain experiences, people, relationships, the viewpoints you allow yourself to have, all these different things of how you are the reflection of these things based off of how you allow yourself to believe what it is that you're seeing. This goes back to my last video, which I will make sure to link at the end. What you allow yourself to believe in, or what you allow yourself to see, is essentially how you allow yourself to process information. And the way that you process information, or the way that you allow yourself to process information, shows how you allow yourself to use your imagination, and or how your imagination is programmed at that moment. Okay? So that's why they have things like PTSD and shit like that, because once you go through certain things, it's hard for your mind to wipe away the memory when it has already been fucking triggered a certain way. So this, let me get my damn book and my notes, because when I say they be trying to play in our face, and try to confuse us and mislead us so that we're not 2:11 on the clock as I speak, but so that we're not able to use our minds and hearts properly, they be fucking pissing me off, and that shit be, I ain't gonna say stressing me out, but it do give me like I just be wanting to knock all this shit over and burn this shit down, because we're not supposed to be living the way that they want us to live. We're not supposed to be allowing ourselves to operate the way that we allowing ourselves to operate, but because again, life and the way that life has been told and taught and programmed for people to believe that is normal, it causes fucking their form of darkness. Ah! Fuck. Shit. But anyways, what you try to hide essentially reflects itself back to you in the light, in the physical. Like I said, through viewpoints, people, experiences, all of those great things that we experience in life to help us to truly see. And the seeing is not with your physical eye. When I say there's so many things around us that's communicating, but most people are only communicating with words that they can't even fathom what other things are trying to say energetically, because we have been cut off from the feminine, the dark. They want you confused. That's, walk them back. That's all I can say. Walk them back, because that shit is here. Now we are being, this is why they say everything that happens in the dark is coming to the light. Because honestly, everything that was happening in the light was the darkness. But in the dark is where people are running from instead of allowing themselves to get the answers from. And the darkness is where you'll find the answers. Why do you think... When I say I be getting fucking stressed out, because it'd be like so obvious with the damn symbolization in the program. Why do you think everything that is quote unquote dark or black is looked at as bad? Black cats, black people. To be specific, black magic. What's another one that they want people to just think negative of? Not only just black people, but dark-skinned people. People that are darker and not of light-skinned complexion. And not only do they make people afraid of it, but they try to get you. When I say it's all about the black and white programming, and it has nothing to do with the skin, it's the emotion versus the ego. They want you separate from the two, so that you're not able to learn how to use them both together. That's why you have to get it together. When you're getting screwed up and you're not using your brain together, you got to get it together. Yo, I'm trying to calm down, because this download, or rather channel, is very like nerve-wracking. I've been feeling like an angry ass mom, and I get so upset because the shit that they do and that we allow ourselves to do, because we allow ourselves to be like stuck in a state of confusion. And again, I get it, because we've been hurt, but that's just an excuse now. How are we going to fix the problem? If we see everything that we need to see, when are we going to clean up the fucking mess? And let me know when we start. Because I'm about ready. They're going to keep playing. And all it's going to do is keep triggering your emotional body to operate against you. So that you're never being able to see the true potential of who you are. They want you afraid of the dark. Because if you allow yourself to go... I'm about to punch you in the face. Because if you allow yourself to be okay with that darkness, you'll really allow yourself to see how truly bright you are. You're able to find your true light. Because you're able to find your way through the darkness when you allow yourself to surrender to it. But instead, they want you afraid of it. I say darkness, and your mind is going to naturally think the most craziest things of whatever darkness is. You're going to fucking think demons and ghosts and goblins and whatever scary ass shit that they put into your imagination. Your imagination is the darkness. Like I said, it's everything and nothing at the same damn time. But whatever. What fucking ever. So when you allow yourself to be negative about certain things, or talk about a person, or say something about a person, or view them a certain way, that's really how you view yourself. Oh, that's such and such ugly. You might physically be attractive, but your energy is ugly. You only see the ugliness in certain things. What does that show you about yourself? That you're not allowing yourself to face whatever your darkness is. And it's not always about the looks either. That's just an example. For example, your relationships are a direct reflection of the energy you're allowing yourself to project. Not only that, when you are attracting certain relationships, there's like levels to it. It's levels to it. So when you're in certain relationships, and specifically romantic, your partner is matching. For the women, you are the emotional body for the male. And for the male, you are the mental body of the female. So if you're meeting a fucking man or a woman, specifically, if you're meeting a woman that is emotionally erratic, that shows that you are emotionally erratic and you're not allowing yourself to fucking use your heart properly. And then when a woman is attracting a male that's caused her mental problems and whatever, it just... When I say it's we are all reflections of each other. And until we allow ourselves to be okay with certain levels of whatever our darkness is, so that we're able to find our true lights, people are going to keep being afraid of it, and everybody's going to keep hurting each other, because don't nobody want to be vulnerable or, accountable as well for whatever it is that not even that, but for how we allow ourselves to make decisions after certain levels of trauma. Because the trauma is going to happen in whatever form. Whether it's super physical or just a mental trauma, emotional, whatever your trauma is, it's going to be there. Because again, that trigger is essentially how you're supposed to learn how to alchemize that power. That pain is purpose. You're not being triggered by accident, or you don't have certain... And I don't want to sound insensitive, but certain experiences are very harsh sometimes when you have a lot more power that you have to ignite within. And again, because we live in a society where they want you to believe that life is supposed to be this picture perfect whatever. And I get when certain things are literally super whatever, but you have to remember, this world is more spiritual than physical. So some of the things that happen do be fucked up. But I don't even want to get too deep on that side. I'm going to stay on this point of the dark and the light. But it's so fucking much, bro. It's so much. To the point with the boyfriend, girlfriend thing and the boy, whatever. However, even if you want to be talking about the LGBTQ and all that other stuff, like, in my opinion, it's just an opinion. When people are quote unquote gay and then they take on the roles, let's say for instance the guys that become more feminine in roles, I feel like, or rather I think that they have a stronger emotional body, and because society has projected emotions to be so weak or whatever, men that have higher emotional bodies kind of sometimes play a trick on themselves to where they think that they're supposed to be gay because they are more emotional or more sensitive. So now they create in their mind that they're supposed to be sassy or whatever that fucking supposed to mean. You know, so it's like that, and then let alone, you know, certain experiences like SA and you know, all that, whatever. That all plays a role in how the mind plays tricks with itself because of the emotional body and us not knowing how to properly use our emotions. And then for the girls, like the ones that can be like, because women are naturally supposed to be the feminine or emotional, or tap more into the emotional body, because all of this, the physical words, again, is just causing confusion. Because when I say feminine, it's not always about girl. It's the emotions. It's like the positive and negative, you know, that. So feminine and masculine. But again, because we live in a physical based aspirin world and the spirit has been taken away, it's causing confusion to the ego, or not only the ego, the mental body. But anyways, because the mental body is essentially how you allow yourself to process what you're thinking, like yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Back to the point. When two females are in a relationship, or not only that, but if a female is quote unquote gay or whatever the fucking label is, I'm not judging, but it's just so much different whatevers. But blah blah blah. They have more of that masculine approach. They feel like they're supposed to carry themselves a certain way because society has programmed a person or a male to be the one that's the go-getter and going getting all the money and doing all this, when we all supposed to have a fucking drive. When I say I be so confused, I be like, what? How does these things make sense? To each his own. To each his own. Like I said, I'm not judging. I'm just making observations on the things that I'm seeing, and it's not making sense to me. It's all confusion. And I'm not going to say that you can't like whatever you want to like. But again, you have to know that a lot of the things that we choose to like is all stemming back to some form of trauma. And how we allow ourselves to perceive the darkness. And how we allow ourselves to run from the void and not feel our emotions. And the more you're suppressing, again, you are projecting. And your projection is going to show you your reflection. And it's up to you to decide if you like what you see or not. What are you afraid of? Yourself? At this point, everybody's just showing how they are afraid of themselves. Everything is in fucking light. You can't see. You see all the bullshit now. Can't nothing be hidden. Even if it wanted to. You can find out anything you want. And now it's even harder to do that. Again, because you're not in touch with the emotional body, you're not able to use your intuition. The intuition is the darkness. This is why AI is getting to the point to where people are not able to tell. But because we are, to a certain degree, momentarily, we're going to be making up more, but the collective is getting to a point to where the discernment and intuition is kicking in a little bit more. For the ones that are supposed to. Because you're still going to have the other side where they still, go crazy, go stupid. And then the other side is we're starting to figure things out and putting shit together and yada, yada, yada. But anyways, like, they got you pulled away and separated from the dark and the light spiritually to now in the physical. That shit is just a blur. But that's the end of this video. I don't want to make this too long. I just want you to know that it's okay to have a shadow. It's okay to be hurt. But don't allow yourself to become your hurt to where you're projecting onto the next person and you're blindly acting and thinking and doing whatever it is that you're allowing yourself to do with no intention, because you're allowing yourself to run from the void, or you're allowing yourself to run from your heart. Your heart is your best friend. That shit either gonna steer you right or steer you right. The mind is what's gonna play trick, because you have the imagination. But if you're not using your compass, you're not able to navigate through the map properly. You have to learn how to accept the darkness of yourself. Whatever makes you dark. It could be that you're lazy, you procrastinate, you're a perfectionist, you whatever you feel like your hindrance is, or your shadow is, or the thing that keeps you away from being where you want to be. And that's your fucking darkness. That's your shadow that you have to face on, and why you are even like that. Because essentially it's a form of protection. But you have to know when to use certain things and when to operate. You just have to know when to use your dualities. Because we have them for a reason. You know, people make it seem like aggressive people are bad. They're not necessarily bad, they're protective. You know, they've been hurt a lot, or they have a lot of hurt, so that's why they become aggressive, because they're keeping whatever away. But when they're being like that, they're keeping everything away because they're not allowing themselves to be here. Same with people that people please. They want to give love, 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 love. Why are you doing that? You have to figure out what is the root of the issue and the problem, so that you're able to have control of your shadow. Because if not, everything in the shadows and in the shadows, because we are in the shadow fucking realm, ain't nothing new under the sun. We're nothing but recycled energy that keep coming here trying to figure out how to undo the same shit that we keep allowing ourselves to live in loops of. So till then, until we learn how to face our shadows, the shadow world is just going to keep being more chaotic. And I'm quite sure we don't want to keep seeing that. So can we do what we need to do so that we can fucking make this place a better place? Because we ain't got nobody to blame but ourselves. There's nobody to blame but ourselves. There's nobody to blame but ourselves. There's nobody to blame but ourselves. Because we're making the decisions. We're making the actions. We are living in these different cities and countries and yada yada yada, and the government is doing whatever the government thinks that they want to do, but nobody's telling you guys to comply. You guys are just doing it because they say certain things. Again, that's because these are the same people, things, whatever, that's trying to shape your imagination. My fucking eye is itchy as F. This one specifically is itching. But anyways, yeah, they want you to be afraid of yourself. And we can't keep being afraid of ourselves when we clearly see that we're keeping the world flowing like a mother effer. Everything that we see, buy, somebody went to work to go make that shit happen. And it was 9 times out of 10 somebody in this motherfucking collective, not the person that got the damn name for the business or the corporation. So again, why are you afraid of the dark? Do you see how powerful you really are? How we really are? Yeah, okay. When you figure it out, give me a high five.